Welcome, folks, to a bonus episode in our special off-season coaches series on the No Conference for Old Men podcast today, where the three old guys actually have a special guest and University of Houston women's basketball coach Matthew Mitchell joining us for a bit of Q&A. We've been focused on men's basketball since our existence 2 seasons ago as Houston entered the Big 12, but with the excitement of Coach Mitchell's hiring for our women's basketball program, we've been duly motivated and driven towards publishing our very first women's basketball-focused episode. For fans that may not know, and hopefully I get this right, Coach Matthew Mitchell was hired as women's head coach at UH on March 27th, but Coach brings to the table a massively successful resume prior to joining the Cougars. We want to hear the journey directly from Coach, but before coming to Houston, Coach Mitchell had spent 13 seasons as head coach at Kentucky, where he won SEC Coach of the Year twice in 2010 and 2012. During Coach's time at Kentucky, they were a bit of a juggernaut, making the NCAA tournament 9 times, excluding the COVID season, where they were sure to have made it a 10th time in 13 seasons. Of those 9 tourney bids, Coach Mitchell was able to lead his team to the Sweet 16 5 times, and out of those trips, 3 runs to the Elite 8. Part of that, Coach had spent 2 seasons turning around a downtrodden Morehead State program in his first head coaching role, and before getting that first opportunity, Coach had come up through the ranks as a grad assistant at Tennessee before becoming an assistant coach at both Florida and Kentucky. Coach Mitchell also received his bachelor's degree from Mississippi State. Just a stellar background. And we're excited to have Coach join the UH program as well as our humble podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Coach, and thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, especially with the season basically upon us.
Thank you, guys. I am so fired up to be at the University of Houston. So grateful to have the opportunity to lead this women's basketball program. It's an immense opportunity, and we are extremely excited. So I'm glad to spend some time with you all, and I really appreciate you having me on.
No, that's awesome. We're just super grateful for you to join the program, as well as the podcast, and we're excited to hear more about what you've got in store. So we've gathered some questions amongst ourselves and from listeners, but anything else you wanted to say before we kick things off and get into our questions?
No, I'm looking forward to the questions, and we've gotten a lot done in a short period of time, so there's plenty to talk about. I can promise you that.
Awesome. So, I started off and gave a highlight of your background, Coach, but maybe you could spend a few minutes providing listeners with your own perspective on your basketball coaching journey, kind of like, how you got interested in the profession itself in the first place, and really, how did you know it was the right path for you?
Yeah, I was sort of meandering through life in my early 20s and didn't have a real great focus. I was trying to have some success and, out of college with a degree and trying to make my way in the business world and just didn't feel very fulfilled. And I was so fortunate one Friday night, I went back to my high school, and my high school basketball coach was also the head of the school, and such a huge influence in my life, Coach Farrell Rigby. And so I was helping him. He's the hardest working guy in education I've ever seen. And he would clean up. Nice. He was cleaning up the football stadium. We were cleaning up the football stadium one Friday night, and I was just lamenting the fact that I was sort of spinning my wheels. And he said some of the greatest words ever spoken to me. He said, "Matthew, I always thought you'd be a good coach. Why don't you come out and help me this season?" That was in 1994. And so that was 31 basketball seasons ago that he encouraged me to go down that path. And I can remember still 31 years later, I can remember the feeling I had once I got on a basketball court and had a chance to coach. And it just lit a fire inside of me, an insatiable desire to learn and to, I thought I knew a lot about basketball because I was a decent player and really thought I was a better player than actually was, So but I thought I knew a lot about the game. And then I found out that coaching's so different than playing. And so that my first 4 years coaching in the middle schools and high schools in little bitty towns in Mississippi, where I'm from, gosh, I can't tell you what a great foundation that was for me, because I had to learn how to coach and how to make decisions under fire, how to develop players, because we didn't have a lot of talented players. And so, it doesn't matter what plays you call unless they can dribble it down the court. And And I tell young coaches this all the time. I'm so grateful for that time because it really also connected me to being in love with teaching. And so to this day, what we're trying to do with at Houston, and we're teaching every day, trying to help our players get ready for the season and to have success. But that was really formative for me. And so on that journey of trying to learn and grow, I started going to camps in the summer just to be around college coaches and learn from them, make a few extra dollars.
Nice.
Money was tight back in those days. So you could go learn and also get paid for working the camp. And so the great opportunity that really gave me a path in women's college basketball was I was fortunate enough to get involved at the Tennessee program, the great Pat Summitt. So in 1995, that summer, I started working for her. And 4 summers later, she hired me as her graduate assistant. She could have hired 10,000 people, and probably 10 million people wanted the job. And it was just one of those blessings in life that I got an opportunity, and she saw something in me and gave me the chance to be and work for one of the truly great coaches of any sport of all time. And so that had me off and running. And those foundational moments stay with me today and have impacted my journey in a really significant way.
Hey, Tom, you had some questions, right, around?
Sure. Speaking of Coach Pat Summitt, I was listening to the interview the other day, and you talked about being aggressive on defense and pressuring the ball. Are there some coaches besides Coach Summitt where you get some of your idea defensively from? You don't see a whole lot of pressure man-to-man in the men's game. It's more pack line or something similar to that. But I was excited when you were talking about your defensive philosophy.
Yeah.
To be disruptive, chaotic. So could you explain a little bit more where your defensive philosophy came from? Maybe some coaches that you coached under in the past or studied?
Well, going back to my days of learning as a high school coach, learned from a lot of Hall of Fame high school coaches in Mississippi that were very principled in pressure defense. So that helped. I taught a bunch of defensive stations at camp about, pressure on the ball, 1 pass away you deny, 2 passes away you help. And so it's funny now how we we're teaching the Cougs right now, and we call it camp defense. It's pressure on the ball. And we have a way of teaching that. And we really break it down and pay attention to the details. And then we're 1 pass away, we're denying, and 2 passes away, we're helping. And so the way I found this was really courtesy of Coach Summitt, because Coach Summitt had done some of that certainly in her career, but she had gotten to a point by the time I was working for her that she really had the most talented team. And so they could kind of do what they could pretty much adjust to any kind of style, and they could overpower you with talent. Well, I was thinking, hot shot young coach at Kentucky, I was going to set the world on fire. And let me tell you, what was in flames was my career. I was about to put down the train because I was trying to do what Coach Summitt did, and I didn't have the talent to do it. And we were very mediocre. We were 33-32 after my first 2 years at Kentucky, had not been to the NCAA tournament, picked 10th in the conference out of 12 teams. And so I roll into my 3rd season and still just, thinking we're going to do it a traditional way. And we lose our first scrimmage that season to Ohio University. And so not Ohio State University, but Ohio University, which, no offense to the Bobcats, but, the University of Kentucky is supposed to beat Ohio University, and they smacked us around that day. And so my back's against the wall, and I just said, look, we're not very big, but we do have some quickness and some speed. So we're just going to play some camp defense here. And at least we're going to go down. If we go down, we're going to go down swinging and we're going to get after it. And that was really kind of all that was really how it started. And then, we just started having success with it. And so that season we went from pick 10th to finish 2nd and had Tennessee on the ropes in Knoxville. And, we kind of created some confidence in us that we could employ this style. And I felt comfortable coaching it. I believe in it. I believe you can do it. I believe that you can combat size and talent with speed and skill and precision and playing together as a team. The sum's greater than the parts. And, we had a heck of a run there, won an SEC championship and, a game away from the Final Four 3 times and 303 victories. And so it's what I know. It's what I believe in. And I think we've built a team that can give us a chance to have a very successful season and make some progress here as we lay the foundation of a program that we know without a doubt can have sustained success. And that's what we're looking for. We just have had a few pockets of success in women's basketball and really no sustained success. And that's what the university deserves. That's what our fans deserve. That's what's possible. And that's what we're going to do. And until they prove me wrong, we're going to try to do it with this pressure
Love it.
philosophy. And we think it's a lot of fun to play. It's hard to get prepared to play, but our players have given just everything that they could up to this point. I'm so proud of them. So I tell them every day, they got to believe in themselves. I just know that they can have success with this style.
Yeah, Coach, I love that pressure, man. I think the last team I saw use it was Brad Underwood when he was at Stephen F. Austin. And, then he got some, higher jobs or whatever. And, he went away from that. But you talked about defense. Now, offensively, who are some of your influences, and could you describe your style? Once again, in the interview, I heard the young ladies talk about playing with pace, pushing the ball up. Could you go into a little more detail on your offensive philosophy? How transition, break, and then what you flow into next?
Yeah, I learned so much about offense early in my career when I had the good fortune of being at the University of Florida 25 years ago as an assistant on the women's team. Billy Donovan was the head coach on the men's side. And back before the days of where we had something like the GVL and fancy practice facilities and fancy locker rooms and all of the great benefits we have now, you just had a men's staff locker room and a women's staff locker room. And so I was in there with Billy Donovan and all the guys, when we would be getting ready for practice. And they really took me under his wing, Billy. So generous from the get-go. And so he's been a huge offensive influence. He's really, really great at all phases of the game. But he taught me a lot about offense, developed a lot of my philosophies. My first, the head coach at Kentucky was Pat Summitt's top assistant. So she got the Kentucky job. So that's how I got there first, was as an assistant, Mickey DeMoss. She had a great offensive mind, learned a tremendous amount about matchups and trying to take advantage of matchups on the floor and really identifying who needed the ball at certain times. So she was a great mentor to me. And then finally, a Hall of Fame coach, Lynn Dunn, she won a world championship with the Indiana Fever and went to a Final Four with Purdue. And so she's still in the Indiana Fever organization and drafted Caitlin Clark and is just a great basketball mind, but learned a ton of offense from her as well. And so they've all influenced me. And then our style of play, I've tried to seek out people that push tempo and have learned and taken pieces. And so we are the philosophy on offense is we're trying to shoot a layup every possession. And so what that means is we're exploring and we're attacking. And until somebody stops you, you go to the basket. And so over time, we've been able to evolve and get that into a system. So if we could shoot 50 layups and score 100 points, we'll do it. We would do it every game. Of course, that's not realistic, but the mentality is what you have to build, and they have to have that mentality. So once we get into that spot, we've worked hard. I've learned a lot of my time away from college basketball. I really got to study, got to go up to Chicago, spend time with Billy, have been able to observe. And so we're working some innovative actions as far as spreading the floor. We're not going to be a pounded inside power post presence. We have really mobile and skilled post players that can lift up out of the low post, get into the high post, spread the floor, put some pressure on the defense there. And then, of course, every now and then you have to set it up. You have to be organized, and the coach has got to, step in and make some decisions. And so we're able to do that. So it takes a lot of time, and the players have to work hard and pay attention. But through repetition, we're starting to see the offense take shape. And I think we recruited the right type of personnel to accomplish what our goals are philosophically with our offense.
Super.
I think the message I would have to the fans is that it is an entertaining style of basketball. We are trying to score a bunch of points. We're trying to turn people over. One of the biggest stats for us, and I'm trying to learn more and more as analytics evolve. But one analytic that we've always tried to hang our hat on is turnover margin. So we're going to try to create more opportunities, deny the opponent opportunities to score, and it's a great formula. And so for many years, the last our last 8 years, 7 of those last 8 years, we were in the top 5 in the country in power conference. Power. So our stats in the SEC, we're top 5 in the country in turnover margin. So getting in the +8 to 10 is, some of our great teams had +10, and it's hard on the opponent when you have 10 more possessions than they have, and so the whole thing comes together offensively and defensively to be fun, exciting, fast paced, and I think it's going to be entertaining for all of the Coug Nation.
Okay,
exactly.
Nice.
Yep.
So since we're talking about coaching styles, we kind of jump to this here. I'll finish off with one more question here, and then Bill can. I know Bill's got some questions around kind of the opportunity here that's in front of us at U of H. But when we looked at your background, and you kind of highlighted this at the media day yesterday, where kind of your basketball beliefs and your non-negotiables are focused around honesty, hard work, and discipline. And we've seen what you'd done at Kentucky as well in terms of what I think you guys were calling it 40 minutes of dread. And it sounds like, just based on our discussions right now, that's still your preferred style of play. However, we also read, back in 21, in the Lexington Herald Leader interview that you had actually stated that officiating changes put in place heading into the 2013-14 season that focused on freedom of movement made it hard for you to continue with that style of play with 40 minutes of dread. And you actually even referenced kind of that change in yesterday's chat with the media. And I guess the question is, do you still believe that to be the case? Because I'd say, as time has passed, we've seen, certainly on our men's basketball side, that a very physical defense can still thrive in today's game. So has your thought changed where you believe you can still play that fast-paced pressing defense?
Yeah, the rule changed, so it's very advantageous. And so what really which I thought was a difficult rule change was you had one touch, and if there was more contact after that, it was an automatic foul. And so that was where it really caused us to pay more attention to detail and to make some adjustments. But now that they have changed it back to, there's a clear foul if there's two hands on at one time, but now, as long as you're playing and you're not impeding movement, but there's some contact there, it's no longer the second touch is an automatic foul. So we never this is what I have to teach the players, and I'll also tell the fans, we don't want a foul. So we don't want it to be a kind of a street brawl or anything and fouling, because that slows the game down. We want to guard legally, and so ours is very specific. We're an arm length away. where you can almost touch and you're putting pressure. And so we have a very clear system on how to guard with pressure without fouling. And so I'm very optimistic that no matter what adjustments we have to make, and that's one of the things that we try to teach them in life lessons is there's volatility to life, and we sometimes we'll have one plan and we have to make some adjustments, but the philosophy will be attacking. It will be speed is a premium. We have great positional speed on our team right now. And also, you don't have to be the fastest, line up and run a straight ahead race with someone and be faster than her. Over the course of the 40 minutes, you have to win more races to the basket and back to your basket than she does. And so stamina and conditioning comes into the equation. And like I tell our players, you don't have to be faster than her one time. You have to be faster than her over the course of the game, and you win more races than she does. That's where the speed comes into play.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Got it. Well, Coach, I've got a little bit more of, I guess, a macro question, and yeah, maybe it was more of an introductory question, but kind of a three-parter. A, why Houston? Why U of H? B, what excited you about coming here? What excites you? And this is before you took the job. What really drew you to U of H? And then three, and I imagine it's maybe similar to Kentucky, where you went into a program that hadn't had a lot of success and then built phenomenal success. What challenges did you see coming to the U of H program?
Well, number one, why Houston is as we made a concerted effort. It was really a family decision to return to the game. I'd had some success and was having success coaching in the corporate world. I'd written a couple of books. I was speaking all over the country. I traveled a great distance from the creation of the company to where we were operating at the time. But my wife just always said, listen, I just believe the best thing that you do is to help young people learn through the game of basketball. And I just don't want you to give up on that. And she felt like I'd made a lot of strides in my own personal leadership. And so she and my family, we really talked about it and decided we were going to make a concerted effort to return to college basketball. So you're wondering if somebody's going to give you a chance after being out for 4 years. And so I was pleasantly surprised that people were interested. I think me staying active in the leadership space and people could see that I was, still growing, and, retirement was probably the wrong word that I used. I was trying to give the program at Kentucky some space to I didn't want it looming that I was, staying there in town. And so it's a good lesson on being careful with your words, because retirement probably was the wrong word, just stepping away and seeing where life took you. But as interest started to develop, I was talking to a lot of people about what were the changes since I had been in previously. And the first thing that stood out to me was Eddie Nunez and his vision for what Houston athletics could be, his ability to articulate how important it was for women's basketball to be in that equation. And he really made me believe that he cared. And I just got to tell you that you benefit from a leader like that, who you can sense cares about it. And so that was really why I got interested in it. So then that second part of what I was able to see was the more I looked into it, the universities that are really high level. So that's one piece that you need to attract student athletes. And I'm telling you now, and this everybody's up in arms about the new era and NIL and transfer portal and all those things. I think it's important. I think we should have been doing that before, but it's important now. You're recruiting every day. You're creating an environment that's attractive for a player to stay. And I have no illusions that we'll be 100% on retention, but I'm telling you now, I think still being able to find those student athletes that are preparing for life and don't view it just as a professional opportunity, but know that the education has some value. I think it's so important to have a university that you can really look to that has some standing and can elevate people academically. So that was a piece. The success men's basketball was having. And I would never in a million years try to compare myself to Coach Sampson. I think he's one of the great coaches of all time. And if I could just, learn anything from him, is going to be a bonus because he is such a great coach. But it does inspire you, and it does make you believe that if you get in and do the job, that it's possible. And I really had followed him before I even knew that I could come to Houston. I'd been following him since Oklahoma, and every step of his career, he'd been someone I looked up to. And I started just reading about what he was able to do and how he was able to elevate things just through his leadership and his belief and his vision. So that gave you another indicator that it's possible. And then the final and most important thing is I believe Houston's a special place as a city. I believe Houstonians are really proud to be in Houston. And that's going to help us because we have access to some of the best players in the country, right in the world, women's basketball players right here in the greater Houston area. And I've already tell you, I would come down here. I got a good player out of Houston, so I've been doing that for a long time. And so now when I think about, I don't have to hop on a plane and go recruiting. I can just drive. And if I have to sit in traffic a little bit, that's better than having a layover on a plane flight. But I mean, I can get to so many gyms. You have no idea. Three of our we have 6 players on the roster who are from the greater Houston area right now. And the ability to recruit in the city, I think, is an incredible benefit because I think there's so many kids that are proud to be from Houston, and we give them a good option to stay home. I think it's going to be parts of us to really have success. So those are the things that really drew me here. And my belief is, in that last part, my belief is the opportunity really comes down to strong leadership. And I feel like we have a strong system to develop a program. We know who we want to be. We know what we're teaching. We know what we want this opportunity. We know how we want this to impact a young woman. And so our goal is to build through high school players, good high school players, find people that fit us and can supplement the program through the transfer portal, but really try to build a stable women's basketball program where year after year you can see the development. And I think because of our ability to explain what we're about and live who we are, I think that's going to be the part that can get us over the top and gives me so much optimism for the future.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, that sounds great. Steve, you want me to continue on?
Yeah. Why don't we talk about this upcoming season?
Yeah. Looking forward to the upcoming season. I know I think you've got 3, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, 3 returning players, some of which were recruited by the previous regime. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, 7 transfers that you and your staff have brought in, and I'm curious to know how are the players adjusting this offseason to your expectations, and those that follow the women's program know of Kiara Merchant's contributions, and you brought in like I said, the transfers, TK Pitts, Myra Abdur Rahim, to speak with the media yesterday. But who else of the new players have stood out so far?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that you guys have said this is just a humble podcast, you don't know what you're doing. The research is amazing. The research is stellar. I mean, there's been no mistakes in the research, and I am so impressed. And so I feel like you guys were giving me the old okie doke here before we got
Coach,
on.
I even know about your singing abilities. You and Mike Neighbors. Yes. I came across that one too.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide on this podcast. So, it's been such an amazing experience putting the roster together. I've never done it before.
Yeah, like this.
The last time I coached a brand new team was my first year at Morehead State. And, back in those days, you inherited a roster and, it was going to take you that first year. There was you ended up with what you had there and you made the best of it. And so we didn't inherit any roster. And so I said, we have a major problem here. We only have 3 players. So we can't really take the 4. So we got to sign at least 2. So we know we know what we got going there. But the 3 that were here, Kiera was the only one that had been that had signed and been at Houston for 2 years. Summer and Kateri had both transferred in last year. Kateri, unfortunately for her, fortunately for us, had to sit out last year, which would have been her final year of eligibility. But ACL tear, it's a tough injury to bounce back from. She's worked really hard and continues to try to get back to full speed, but she's never taken the floor yet for Houston. So those 3 hung in here with us. We were very fortunate. I want to compliment Coach Huey and the previous staff. We had 2 freshmen committed, Kayla King from San Antonio, Jay Jones from West Palm Beach, that their family was gracious enough to give me an opportunity to get to know them and talk to them. They stayed solid. They could have gone anywhere. They could have bounced to another, situation that was maybe more certain. They did not, and we will benefit from that. They're going to be great Cougs. They're going to be kids that I believe are going to be foundational pieces of what we accomplish over the next few years. So that was kind of our start. And so then we added 1 more freshman late in the proceedings, Gemma Hunter from Australia. And then the rest were in the transfer portal, and that was blazing speed. We had, I think, 14 visits in about 30 days. It was, I just still don't know how we do it. But we hit 500. We would get paid a lot of money if we were Major League Baseball hitters. We got 7 players that decided to join us out of 14 visits, and it was a lot of hard work, but we some kids from Houston came back. Bree Pagero from Troy, it's very exciting point guard and on-ball defender, and so she's really done a great job. The other players from Houston, Kendall Hunter from Houston, Jordan Ross from Houston, Amani Bartlett from Cleveland, they were really excited to be able to come back and play in front of their families and people in Houston. I think are excited about this sort of Houston-centric piece that we have to the roster. And so I think that's given us a big boost. Amira and TK, who you heard from yesterday, they had played together at SMU and knew each other and are just off to a great start, and I think going to be real consequential players for us. But we just the players are working hard at it, and you can start to see it take shape, and it's very exciting. And it's like I said earlier, they just need to believe that they have enough. We don't have to have the most talent. We just have to have enough talent, and then we have to come together and be a really strong team And I like our chances of being able to make that happen. It's not going to be easy. It's not smooth sailing. There's nothing guaranteed. We have to go out and earn it. But I'm really appreciative to this group of 30, have been able to form this version of the Cougs.
Hey, Coach. So I wanted to actually zero in on one other name on the roster, and it was one of your transfer recruits that caught my eye when it was announced, and it was, hopefully I don't butcher the name, Shantaria Anumale.
Yes.
Since she's coming in as a sophomore, so it's almost like a freshman. You've got three years, right, with her coming on board, and she had done some great things at St. Louis as well as a true freshman. And so just trying to figure out how she fits in with it. Obviously, when you're recruiting someone like that as a sophomore, it's a longer play as well, because you see something there. So maybe if you could spend
thank you so much for mentioning her, because she is a great example of someone who, from Houston, happy to come back and be able to play in front of her family. And she is a player that you just have seen from day one. If you look at what she's done, what she was on day one to now, we're in this 4.5 months together, and you can just start to see what she can become. She has been so consistent in practice, and she may be one of the players that's come the farthest since she arrived. And I have a lot of confidence that she's going to be an important contributor to this team, and then as we go forward. So that she's an example of what we hope we can build here. We hope that, and we believe that Shun won't have to transfer again, that she'll be able to find everything that she needs in our program as a student at the great university we have. As a player, she has caught on, and she's bought into the style, and she's in the right place at the right time, and she's maximizing her ability. And then as someone who can make an impact in the city of Houston, and she's one of the city's own. And so I think she's a great example of what we can accomplish here. I'm so excited to see her continue to develop, but she's standing out in practice, doing some really good things.
That's great. Steve, you want to continue on with the recruiting, or I can take it, whatever you like. To give some credit, Coach. Steve's the key researcher here.
Okay, we're going to get Steve I've been a good teammate.
I'm retired, so I got time on my hands.
Yeah. I might be asking some damn good questions, but I'm being fed a lot of good information from Steve.
No, it's a team effort.
That's great. I love it.
I mean, so I'll kick this one off. I mean, obviously, and we've touched on it, recruiting and player retention is the lifeblood of the program. Yeah. And you've highlighted as well that high school recruiting, certainly moving forward, is going to be a major focus in terms of getting kids into the program. And I know, coaches, and Coach Sampson says this all the time. It's like, hey, never focused on recruiting stars and all that. It's focused on the players and your own kind of view of the kids. But maybe you can speak a little bit around the traits that you tend to focus on with recruits as you start attending the camps.
Yeah. And so, listen, that's, I think, why I've always admired Coach Sampson, because drawn to his coaching ethos and his outlook on what this is supposed to be. And what's fun for me is to watch a young person walk through the door on day one and then see how she can grow when she gets into a system that values the principles we value, and that she's attracted to that, and that's what she wants to be. And so she and her family are or aspire to be honest, hardworking, and disciplined. So we can define that, which helps us identify people that resonates with. And what we try to tell people, I don't have any idea how in the world you think you can ever develop into your best version if you're constantly hopping systems and you are trying to learn what's going on. We're all seeing right now in real time how difficult this is to merge all of these people coming from, it's brand new for everybody. And I just think about my best teams at Kentucky. When I was at Kentucky, I always told Coach Cal, he was a magician because he could find a way to get those freshmen more times than not. It wasn't every year, but it was an unbelievably successful clip of how he could get those guys in their first year. Now, they were incredibly talented, so that helps you. But we want to find people that it still resonates with, that I'm going to get into a program that is serving me well. We have to do that. That's on me. I've got to create that environment. But when we find those people, Steve, that can connect with the message and have some vision of how valuable that can be, that's going to help us. And that's where no star comes from. That's where no star by their name. I can go into a gym, and this was great benefit for me. I had not been in a gym recruiting for 4 summers, and so I'm coming in with fresh eyes, and I didn't want a list of who the top players were. I didn't even want to know. I wanted my eyes to tell me who can be a Houston Cougar. And that was so beneficial. And so we've identified, and we've got some players that I can't comment on, but that that I believe have a future at Houston. And I still don't know how many stars are by their name, but they're going to wear the Houston Cougar uniform, and that's going to be good enough for me because they can play basketball, and they are the right kind of people that fit our system. And certainly, you want talented players. I'm just saying that the focus is talent, skill, energy. Talent, skill, energy. Do they have enough talent? That has to be a yes. Do they have enough skill? We can help them develop more. Can't do anything about their talent. The good Lord gives them that, so I can't do anything about making them more talented. But skill, I can help them with that. But do they have enough where they can come in? We have to recruit a freshman who can come in and keep her head above water. Like, we're not recruiting any freshmen that can't play and they can develop in 3 years. No, you got to be able to handle yourself in a college game. So you got to have enough skill there. But then the X factor for Houston Cougars women's basketball is what kind of energy do they have? And that's the thing that a star system can't figure out. A lot of talented players, a lot of skilled players. That is that third piece that separates you and makes you good for our system. And so it's a testament to the strength of the university and the outlook of the athletic program and the strength of what men's basketball has from a reputation standpoint of what Houston is in basketball. We are getting some really talented players that are excited about what we're doing. I hate to say I'm surprised. I should give myself a little bit of credit for being able to recruit at a high level, but I mean, I am just so pleased that we have been able to arrive on the scene with what the recent results have been in the program, and to get up into this area where we are in recruiting is really gives you a lot of faith in that we can pull this thing together. So recruiting. I hope I explained that well enough.
Absolutely.
That's what's important for us in recruiting, and we're not just collecting a group of talented players. We're really trying to connect people that want to be part of a great team and a great program.
Yeah, I mean, you're off to a fast start. Obviously, we can't talk names, I know, but I mean, 3 commitments. Hopefully, you're able to keep those commitments, right? Two bigs and a point guard, those the most critical positions. So we're excited.
Yeah, I think the future, I think we've got some great possibility to recruit at a high level here.
Great. And we wholeheartedly agree. I guess I'll ask the last question. And obviously we're all familiar with the unbelievable success that the men's programs had under Calvin, and with that, we read the message boards, and the fans' expectations are through the roof. They expect national championship every year. So with that said, and with the expectations so high, when will we get to experience the first women's national championship? And I'm assuming that'll be prior to 2030.
We're gonna try to win it this year. I mean, that's just what I tell the players. I mean, we're not going to go into any game planning to lose, so we're going to plan for. I think it would be 40 victories is what we'll plan for. But
perfect. That's what we love to hear.
Okay, we'll get that clip and we'll post it all over.
Exactly.
We're absolutely going to hold you to it.
It doesn't matter what you say. You know, anybody can use it what you want to. But listen, I think that it's an interesting time in athletics of where the traditional timeline doesn't necessarily apply. So I'm not quite sure how to answer the question in all honesty, because I'm just not sure how these, who's available, who might you be able to attract, what I think the results of this year, maybe not the record, but I think that if people can get a vision of that we are a factor and that we are here, it's like I said in my press conference, we're open for business to play at the highest level. And I think that there's a way, I think it's important for the future how this team performs. And that's what I keep telling them. I've coached 10 NCAA teams, 9 in the tournament. And as y'all so astutely noticed, that we were a shoe-in and had a really good team that year. So I've seen 10 NCAA teams. And so I'm not saying that it's certainly not guaranteed, because not one of those teams, started the season with a guarantee. We had to do the work. But my message to the players is that I've been around 10 of these. I know what it looks like. And I'm sitting here today. I'm not saying you can't be one of them. I'm saying that you can be one of them.
That's awesome.
So I think the results this year matter for the future and as we build. And I think people need to know that we have the ability to get a lot out of a team. And so then I think that impacts who you're able to build with. Can we retain? And so I think, hey, listen, in our third year at Kentucky, they thought we were going to finish next to last, and we went to the Elite Eight. So basketball is an interesting sport. There's teams that you think are going to win the Final Four that get beat in the first round. It's one of the craziest ways to determine who the best team is. And that's why people love it so much, is because there's so much that can happen. But
agreed.
To finally answer the question, I think that we have the mentality of that we're just on a 1-year plan every year. We need to be the very best team this team can be. We don't know where that will end up, but if you look at the history of the men's program and 7 Final Fours, we think that if we can be the best Houston can be, we have some evidence that can be Final Four. And so we just go to work every day, not trying to be the best, trying to be our best. And we believe our best at Houston will put us among the best. And so we certainly have aspirations to be in the Final Four. Nothing would make me happier than to be a part of a national championship team. All of those things we will be excited about, but it's the reason I have confidence that it's possible is how we operate day to day. We win because winning's a byproduct of how we operate every day. So we're trying to operate today like the very best we can be and see where that takes us. And Cinderella's, barge into the ball sometimes, and then sometimes they don't get up the front steps either. So, we're definitely want to have that mentality as a program.
Yeah. No, and qualify that question obviously was a bit of a joke. But
well, you can now see how serious I am. I've got a plan.
Yeah, what's not a joke is that we're excited as hell that you're here, and
absolutely.
And yeah, we're admittedly the expectations are for the future are a bit more than they've been in the past, and then that's because of your hire, obviously.
Thank you.
I mean, that was just fantastic, Coach, and really, I think that was all the questions that we had. So thank you so much for your deep insights into the program and your approach. And as everyone has kind of stated here, we're so excited for you to join the program. Any other parting shots you want to mention at this point?
I'd love to mention this. the one of the greatest gifts I had coming in was that Final Four run. And what was the best thing that I could do was go to San Antonio and really get into what is being a member of Coug Nation. What is it like? What is it about? And man, to walk into that energy and see how much pride people have for being a Houston Cougar, being a Coug, it connected me in a really powerful way very early, and it made me understand what the power of the energy our fan base has. And so I just want to invite everyone who listens to this and can hear my voice. I want to invite you out November 4th to Fertitta Center for our game. We're going to be so family friendly as well. I think it's going to be a great place where you can bring the family, and we're going to be accessible after games, and the players will be around and I'll be around, and we'd love to meet your family and thank you for coming. But the energy that we can get in the building can directly impact our success and can give our players energy. And so I want the fans to believe in themselves that they can actually be a part of our success by showing up and being in the stands in Fertitta Center this season. Season tickets are a possibility for people, and we'd love for people to buy season tickets. But if you just can come to one game, I want to invite people to the game. And I think if they'll come one time, I'm betting that they'll get back another time. I think they're going to see a team they're proud of and excited about. So just want to invite everybody out and to support us, and it'd mean a lot to us this season.
That's awesome, Coach. After this recording, I'm going to go out and get my season ticket. So I'm excited.
Good.
Coach, have you worked on the Cougar Paw yet?
Are you kidding me? I do every you got to start watching my Cougar Red Fridays.
Yeah, Instagram. On Instagram. Come on.
Okay. So I got it down, man. I've done it about 1 million times and can't wait to do it about 10 million more times.
Nice.
That's awesome. Thank you again so much.
Yeah.
So that's it for this bonus Coaches Series episode of the No Conference for Old Men podcast. Hope you all enjoyed it. And again, would really appreciate it if folks would follow, subscribe, or collect our podcast, depending on your podcast platform of choice. We are also available via the Republic of Football podcast feed from the folks at Dave Campbell's Texas Football as the only basketball-centric podcast. We're at the GoCoogs.com website for those that prefer to digest the content that way. We appreciate the continued support from all. Also, please give us a follow on our Twitter account, No Conference for Old Men. And folks, we are back to our weekly cadence now with the season around the corner. So please stay tuned to download and listen as the next episode drops. Take care, everyone.